Welcome everyone to Worcester Public Library's virtual cooking class, Cooking with Colin, Fiction in the Kitchen. Today's presenter is Colin Mccullough. Since Colin went vegan in 1995, he's been finding new ways to make healthy eating convenient and delicious, especially while raising two boys with healthy appetites. Colin teaches private and public cooking classes throughout New England, sharing his experience and recipes with people who want to incorporate more whole food, plant-based meals for health, compassion, in the environment. He also has published the Healthy Vegan Cookbook last year, and a new one, Smoothies That Taste Like Girl Scout Cookies, will be coming soon. And I will be pasting some links in the chat. And one will be, if you want to learn more about Colin, it'll be, I have a link for his Facebook page and also his website. So Colin, you can begin whenever you're ready.
Okay, all right. Well, welcome everybody. Thanks Dot and the Worcester Public Library for having me. I do a lot of cooking classes normally in person, but you know, with the COVID situation, it is all happening in my kitchen these days. So you can see here, I don't have a fancy studio kitchen setup or anything. This is actually my own kitchen, and I don't have a very big space, but this is real. So, you know, normally I teach, you know, a number of different topics for classes. I am vegan. I've been vegan for about 25 years. And as Dot was saying, I have two boys who are now 18 and 21, who were brought up vegan as well. So, you know, anytime that I could find recipes that were healthy, whole food, vegan recipes that my boys would ask for seconds, then I'd always, you know, set those recipes aside or, you know, make a note, keep those ones around. So this class is, today we're going to be doing fiction in the kitchen. So this one's kind of a detour from sort of what I normally do. This was actually at the Worcester Public Library. They had contacted me and asked me about having some kind of a theme, you know, fiction themed. And I actually had a number of different recipes that, you know, just sort of more for fun I had made over the years, kind of for my kids that were fun. And, you know, that took inspiration from different, some different kids books, fiction books. So I suppose, you know, a lot of those books like Harry Potter, Chronicles of Narnia, Lord of the Rings, they're books that adults love too. So it's kind of silly even calling them kids books, really books for all ages. So there's going to be 4 different recipes today, and I believe all of the recipes are posted, so you don't have to write everything down that I'm doing here. And certainly if you have any questions, then I believe you can put in the chat box for Dot, and she'll be able to read those to me. So
yeah, I'll take questions as we go along, and then people can unmute themselves at the end if they'd like to ask more questions.
Okay, yep.
Okay,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
okay.
yeah. There are going to be 2 different appliances that I'm going to use for the class for today. There's the Vitamix. This is a high power blender. Vitamix is a high power blender. You don't need to have something like this in order for this to be able to work, but you know, it definitely helps quite a bit. If you have like a NutriBullet or a Ninja or something like that, that will work as well. The Vitamix is pretty expensive if you bought it new. I believe they start at around $350, but you can buy them online. You can get them like on eBay or Craigslist for a lot cheaper than that. I know they sell them refurbished. There's the Black Friday sale after Thanksgiving. They go on sale for super cheap. But you know, having a really good blender is really going to help. If you use just like a regular, you know, $35 Oster blender or something like that, it's not really designed to be able to handle, you know, blending up like nuts and dates and things like that. So, you know, it might kill it. So you want to have something that's a little bit more substantial than that, if you can. Certainly the kind of cooking that I do, I make a lot of sauces and smoothies and salad dressings and soups. I use as a blender for all kinds of different things. So, you know, for me, you know, while a Vitamix is definitely a hefty monetary investment, then, you know, I've had one that is at least 20 years old, and they last a really long time, and they can really take the abuse. So I'm going to put in a plug for that. And the other is going to be, I have a Cuisinart food processor here as well. I like to get, I bought the, this is the Cuisinart Elite. It's more of like a commercial size one. It's a 14 cup one. So, you know, I used to have a small food processor, and, you know, I'd have to like make everything in batches because it didn't all fit in the bowl. So, you know, to me, it was worth it to get the 14 cup larger capacity food processor. And again, I think this one, I just got it on Craigslist for, it was like $100 or something like that. So, you know, again, if it's within your budget to be able to do that, I use the food processor quite a bit. Definitely the blender I use more than anything else, but food processor is great as well. Just put a plug in for a second. This is my cookbook that Dot mentioned, Healthy Vegan Cookbook. It is available on Amazon, also as an ebook as well on Amazon, and I believe the Worcester Public Library has some copies of it as well. So you can check it out before you go ahead and spend the money to buy it. So there's that. And she also mentioned I have the Facebook page, Colin Cooks Vegan, and then also the website, colincooksvegan.com. And on the website, I have Google Calendar right in the beginning, so you can see all the different classes that I do. Like I said, doing them all online these days, but you can see any of the classes that I have coming up and check out how to join in on those. So first recipe we're going to do today, this one is from Star Wars. So this is blue Bantha milk. So any Star Wars fan knows in A New Hope, there's on Tatooine, they're drinking this blue milk. And then also in some of the more recent movies, you can see it as well. So this recipe actually is basically the recipe for how to make almond milk. So if you are curious about, you know, how that's done, if you wanted to try making almond milk that you would then put in a pitcher, doesn't have to be blue. But in this case, for May the 4th, I make this for my boys because it's fun. So how do you make blue milk? Like, what is naturally blue? There really aren't a lot of things out there that you could use that are, you know, really blue. Like if you use blueberries or something, it's kind of more purple color. And, you know, you could use food coloring, but, you know, I'm trying to find like what's a natural thing that dyes things a blue color. So what I actually found was kind of fun. This is butterfly pea flowers. These are dried. So I got these on Amazon. This will probably last me for like the next 10 or 20 years, but just dried flowers. And the fun thing with these is it really does dye things blue. So if you put, in this recipe, it calls for 1/4 cup of the dried butterfly pea flowers in 2 cups of hot water. You steep that for about 10 minutes and it makes it really nice and blue color there. You can see that. We're gonna blend that up in a minute just to make it even more of a blue color. But one of the fun things with dried butterfly pea flowers is they do make this nice blue color, but it also reacts to different acids. So like if you put in lemon juice or lime juice, then it reacts to that and it actually turns it pink. So it's kind of neat. Like I know like for mixed drinks, sometimes for grown-ups, they have, you know, some of the fancier bars, they will make, they will steep the water with the flowers and then freeze that as ice cubes. And then if you put it in a drink that has some lemon juice or something in it, then it will actually, as it starts to melt, then it goes from blue to kind of a pink color. So I don't know, just kind of a fun thing. It's not really what we're doing today, but I just thought I'd throw that in there. So what we're gonna do is let's see, I'll put this in the blender here. And it's a very unnaturally looking blue color, but that's it is. And then the other thing is, so this is where, you know, just making regular almond milk comes in. So I'll show you the steps for this. It's basically the same kind of thing, but without the flours. So normally what you would do is soak 1 cup of raw almonds for about 8 hours, and then rinse, dump the water out and rinse it. It's going to be about 4 cups of liquid, so 4 cups of water to 1 cup of the almonds. Get the right consistency. If you have a Vitamix, then you don't need to soak the nuts ahead of time to soften them up. Almonds kind of are a hard nut to be able to blend, but with a Vitamix, it doesn't matter. So I'm going to pour the 1 cup of almonds in there, and then I have another 2 cups of water. Put in there. So I'm going to blend this up for a minute. So if you have any questions, now's the time to go ahead and throw them in while this is running. It's going to make noise, and it was something to do here. So if you've been to one of my smoothie classes before, then you know that I don't make almond milk ahead of time. I always just throw the almonds into the Vitamix and some water and just make the almond milk fresh every time. That way you leave all the pulp in. It helps to keep you full longer. That's where all the nutrition is in the pulp. But if you wanted to try and make almond milk that you would then put in a pitcher and store in the refrigerator, then this is how you do it. So without the blue flowers in there. So basically, again, it's 1 cup of almonds to 4 cups of water here. And you can see it's nice and blue color here from the pea flowers. And then what I'm going to do is pour it through, this is called a nut milk bag. You can get these, these are like, a couple bucks on Amazon. You could use cheesecloth instead, but the nut milk bag is really easy to wash. It's reusable. I have used this a ton of times, which is why it's not white anymore. This is clean, I promise. So basically you are straining the milk through the bag, and I put it into a big bowl here. Okay, so I'm just going to pour this through here. So, okay, and then I'll kind of hold this up so that you can see it here. So this is just draining the liquid out, and you want to squeeze it so that you get as much of the liquid out as you can, and that's going to leave behind the pulp of the almonds and also the pea flowers as well. So in the end, it does take a few minutes, so I'm not going to go through the whole process, but I'll do it just enough so that you can see. So there's the blue, and I'm going to pour it back in the blender, my blue milk. And so like I said, if you are making almond milk, that is it in its purest form. But usually what I do anytime that I'm going to make a pitcher of almond milk, I'll add a little bit of sweetener. In this case, I usually use a little bit of agave nectar, just because if you use dates as a sweetener, which is what I usually do, then it could kind of change the color and make it a little bit darker. So in this case, where I want it to be, as blue as possible, I'll just put in about a tablespoon of the agave nectar, just make it a little sweet. I'm going to put in about a teaspoon of the vanilla, or half a teaspoon of vanilla extract. So just going to put it in there. A lot of times when you buy almond milk from the store, you can get it unsweetened and unflavored, but it's nice when it has just a little bit of vanilla added into it. And then the last thing I'm going to do is add about 1/8 of a teaspoon of, so just a little bit, you put in a little bit of salt like that, and it's gonna kind of boost up the flavor that's there, but not make it taste salty. So just kind of added to boost the flavor. So I'm just gonna blend that for a second. And you know, like I was saying, if you wanted to get the let's see, the dried butterfly pea flowers, if you order them online, I think I got it on Amazon, but if you order it, just make sure that you get it organic. If you're going to use it for cooking and food and stuff, if you're going to consume it, then you know, I don't think it was that much. It was a while ago that I got it. It's a couple of years ago, actually. So we have that, and pour it into the glass so that you can see it. And the butterfly pea flowers, you don't really add a flavor, much of a flavor to the blue milk here. So, you know, when you taste this is really just what almond milk tastes like. It's kind of a fun one to do in classes. It's, you know, it's too bad that I can't hand this out for everybody today to try it, because when you try almond milk fresh for the first time, totally different from what you get in the store. The store is pretty mild tasting, but the almond milk, if you have fresh almond milk and you really taste the almonds, so, you know, it's a much stronger taste. It tastes so much better than anything you get in the store. The thing with almond milk, if you're going to make it, or like the blue milk here, this is only going to last in the refrigerator for about 3 or 4 days. Anything fresh probably, you know, shouldn't last longer than that. But it will go bad. So, but you can freeze it if you wanted to. You know, like I said, I don't really make almond milk and then put it in the refrigerator, because it's sort of like an extra step. Like when I make smoothies, I just put the nuts and the water in, blend it, and I don't strain out the pulp. So, you know, having to strain that out is kind of an extra step. I don't really like to have to do that. But anyway, cheers. Blue Bantha milk from Star Wars. Yep, I like that. All right, so I'm gonna move on to the next one. Anybody have any questions so far, Dot? No, if not. So I'm gonna put the Vitamix away until a little bit later, and move on to the next recipe here. Nice thing about being able to do this from home is that my kitchen sink is right here, so I don't really have to. I don't have to have somebody run the ingredients for all the dirty dishes and everything into another room to clean it, like I do with the library. So there we go. I'll put this aside for now, and we'll move on to the recipe.
Sorry, Colin, I was having a little technical difficulty here.
That's okay.
I don't see any questions so far.
Okay.
And, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I couldn't see what you were holding up. Would you mind holding that up when you have a chance?
Sure. Yep.
Oh.
So there you go.
Oh, okay.
The blue Bantha milk.
Thank you.
Looks really weird, but it tastes delicious. All right. And that was always something my kids thought was awesome, to be drinking blue milk on May the 4th. So, all right. So the next recipe that we're going to do is we're going to move over to the food processor here. I don't know if you're able to see it or not in the screen. The next recipe we're going to do is the Turkish Delightful Bars. So
see the top half of it.
What's that?
We can see the top half of the blender.
Okay. All right. Well, maybe when I start blending, I can move the screen down or something so you see it better. So Turkish Delightful Bars, I got the inspiration from this, from the Chronicles of Narnia, if you're familiar with the books. You know, this is supposed to be a really rich, sweet treat. And so, you know, I started looking up different recipes so that I could make something like that. But, you know, if you've been to some of the other classes that I've done before, you know that, you know, I'm kind of take things from a whole food, plant-based perspective. So, you know, these recipes, I'm really trying to make them as healthy as possible, but still have them be, you know, really tasty, fun desserts. So this is going to be one that I'll put all the ingredients in the food processor, make that, and then I put it into a pan afterwards. If you see in the instructions, we'll go through how to do that. So here we go. Turkish delightful bars. There's going to be 1 cup of figs. Yeah. So these, a lot of this stuff I got from Trader Joe's, just kind of a shout out to them. They make it all easy. So, you know, most of these things are not going to be really difficult to find in different supermarkets. Those butterfly pea flours, those are definitely a special order thing, but the rest of these most of this is stuff you can get in a regular supermarket. So it's going to be a cup of the Turkish figs. Yeah. I'm going to put in 1/2 cup of these. For me, this is frozen strawberries here. So I just thawed those out. It's going to be 1/2 cup for that. I put in, this is a 1/2 cup of quick oats. So I prefer to use, in something like this, I prefer to use the quick oats because it's smaller and it's already kind of ground down into smaller pieces. So it's going to be easier for the food processor to be able to make those more, break them down and, you know, not have chunks of oat in there. All right, going to put in 1/2 cup of pistachios. So we have the pistachios. If possible, I prefer to get unsalted and unroasted pistachios here, so that if you're going to add some salt in, you can control how much salt is in it. So again, roasted, unroasted, but not salted. You don't like the salt. Yeah. So there's 1/2 cup. Yeah. All right, and so the preferred form of sweetener for me is dates. So these are medjool dates. This is different from, you know, using agave or maple syrup or sugar or anything like that. Those are all definitely refined sugar products. So the medjool dates is a natural whole food form of sweetener. Again, Trader Joe's, they sell these, but more and more just regular supermarkets are selling dates. So there's 4 medjool dates, and you just make sure that they don't have the pits in them, because the food processor is just not really going to be able to break those down very well. So there's the dates here. Put those in. And let's see, 2 teaspoons of rose water. So this is kind of a specialty ingredient. This, I get that, let's see, I think I got it at the Indian supermarket in Shrewsbury, Patel Brothers. They sell this. You can order it online. This lasts a really long time. It's totally shelf stable, you know, keeps in your pantry. So this gives it a really kind of exotic kind of flavor. Rose water is definitely not something you normally would have in you know, regular restaurants. So it's kind of it's a fun extra flavor. So I'll put in 2 teaspoons of that. And it's basically just water that's been infused with rose petals, so you get that, you know, strong rose flavor. It's going to be 1/2 teaspoon of cardamom powder. Put that in. And let's see, call for a 1/4 teaspoon of sea salt. So put that here. I'm just going to use the food processor to blend everything together until it's well combined. You want to break down all of the nuts and the dates and everything that's in here until it's all mixed together. Don't really have chunks of anything anymore. Stop it, and then just scrape it down real quick here. So being in my kitchen, I have all my utensils right at hand, so great thing. this for another minute or two. One of the reasons that I add the oats is that it does absorb the liquid of the things in like the strawberries and the rose water. So one more time. So that's pretty well blended together. Hold this up here so you can see it. Everything's pretty well mixed together. Tilt this back up. All right, so next thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to bake this. Put it into a loaf pan here. And just so that it doesn't stick to it too badly, I'll put some parchment paper to line it with some parchment paper. And the idea is going to be just to bake this for about 20 minutes.
Colin, we do have a question. Philomena wants to know, is there a reasonable substitute for the rose water? Does plain water change the taste?
Well, I mean, the thing you're really going for, one of the things that makes it Turkish delight is in Turkish cooking, they do use rose water in a number of desserts. So if you really don't want that flavor, then you could just leave the rose water out. It's fine. But I don't know what the substitute would be. I guess you just leave it out. And then you could just like put a little bit of water in instead. So I lined the pan with parchment paper so it's easy to take out. I'm just going to put the mix right down here. I'll put the mix into the pan. And so it's pretty sticky right now. And the idea is going to be to bake this for about 20 minutes just to get some of the liquid out of it and to firm it up, because right now it's pretty sticky. If you were to try and cut it with a knife, it would be pretty sticky to cut. But then after you bake this for about 20 minutes and you get a lot of the liquid out, it really kind of firms it up. And then you can cut them into bars. So if you have like a kind bar or some of the kind of date-based health bars, and it's kind of consistency that it comes out to here. So you pat it down, and then you're going to put that in the oven for 20 minutes at 325. So you're really not trying to cook it per se, brown it, or anything like that. You're just putting it kind of low temperature so that you can get a lot of the liquid out of it, so that it's drier. But it's still, because it has the dates in it and the strawberries, it's still going to be somewhat moist as well. But when you're all done cooking it, then you can just slice it into like 2-inch bars, or you can slice it into squares. So usually when I've taught this recipe in classes before, then I'll just cut it into squares, and people can have little samples of it. But it's a really good, it's a great little treat. It's a lot of fun. So you don't have to cook it. It's if you wanted to have it raw, you could do that. It's going to be kind of harder to cut. It's not going to be as firm. So there's the Turkish Delightful bars. So we go from Chronicles of Narnia. Let's see, get the next pan here. If anybody has any questions, just let me know.
Yeah, someone commented that for the most part, the ingredients are something that are easy to get and you'd have in the house, but the rose water is not something you would normally carry. That's why they're asking about the substitute. And she did mention that it sounds delicious and so healthy, lots of fiber. And Jess comments, "I love it!" exclamation point. Also wondered what was in, always wondered what was in those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know, in the regular version, lots and lots of sugar.
Oh,
But you know, in my kitchen, try and do things a little bit on the more whole
right.
food, healthier side. So let me just get this bowl cleaned out here. We'll move on to the next recipe, and we're going to use the food processor again for something from Lord of the Rings. So great to not have other people help me to rinse everything out. Everybody has to like run into the other one. Well, I suppose
You have
with the,
another question. With all the figs, do you even need the dates for the sugar?
it totally depends on how sweet you want it to be. Uh, if the figs are sweet enough for you, then no, you don't have to. All right. So next, any other questions before I go to the next?
No, none in the chat. Thank you.
Okay. Yep. All right. So the next one we're going to do is inspired by Lord of the Rings. This is actually a recipe that I had done a while ago called the Seed, S-E-E-D, Seed of Power bars. So, you know, I've tried to make different healthy recipes, and sometimes, like I've seen, you know, some bar recipes, some cookie recipes that have, you know, lots and lots of different seeds in it, and you know, it's very healthy, but you know, it's got, you know, so many different things in it that you know, like as a cookie or something, it's kind of a strange thing, but you know, to have this as a bar or, you know, like little seed cakes or something like that, then this is kind of a fun way to do it. So this one comes from Bilbo, who is the star of the Lord of the Ring trilogy. Bilbo, he had his favorite thing to eat was seed cakes, and took those with him on his journey. So you know, I would make these for the boys and pack them up, and you know, take them out on our journeys out in the world as well. So this is the Seed of Power bars. This has lots of different seeds in it, and so we'll go through here. So the base of this is going to be 1 cup of frozen mango chunks. So I thawed these out. Usually I use frozen mango chunks instead of fresh in recipes like this, just because, you know, cutting up fresh mango, it does taste better, you know, no question, but this is really just so much more convenient. I have a bag of frozen mango chunks in the freezer and just pull them out for that. So let's see. I have to wash the blade of the food processor. Okay. 1 cup of frozen mango chunks. Here. And this one is going to be 1 cup of medjool dates, which comes out to about 8. And again, you want to make sure that this doesn't have any pits. You've taken all the pits out of them. So there's that. There's for the sweetness of it. And then I'm going to put in also 1/2 cup of raisins as well. So it's going to be nice and sweet. Raisins. All right. Since these ingredients are going to be the base, you want them to be, you know, blended in really well. So I'm actually going to blend just these ingredients first, and then add everything else afterwards. So. Really just trying to get the dates and the raisins broken down before you put everything else in, and then it's going to blend it all together. Started here, and then we'll put in everything else here. So we have 1 cup of shredded coconut right here. Coconut also absorbs some of the moisture as well. This is going to be half a cup of walnuts. So use raw walnuts, and not roasted or salted or anything. Everything that I'm putting in here is going to be unsalted. So let's see, the next one is going to be half a cup of pumpkin seeds, otherwise known as pepitas. So it's right here. And next is going to be half a cup of sunflower seeds. Those here. Next is going to be sesame seeds. There's about a quarter of a cup of sesame seeds in here. And then a quarter of a cup of hemp seeds here. So as the name implies, seed of power bars, there's a lot of different seeds in there. Next we're going to do is a quarter cup of cacao powder, which is right here. So cacao powder is just basically the raw form of cocoa powder, so it's just less processed. So a quarter of a cup of cacao powder. You could use cocoa powder too if you want, that's fine. It just gives it a great chocolatey flavor. And then I'm going to put in 2 tablespoons of, these are cacao nibs. So that cacao powder, it's basically just the powdered version of this cacao nibs. The nibs are basically like raw chocolate. So, you know, without any fat or sugar added, this is just a totally raw form of chocolate. So it's crunchy, doesn't really have any sweetness to it, but it's got a nice chocolate flavor. I'm going to blend those in, and then I'm going to put in about a quarter teaspoon of sea salt into here. So you can leave out the salt if you want, if you're someone who tries to not have any salt or really limit it. You can keep that out of here if you want. I'm only using a quarter of a teaspoon, so really basically just trying to like amplify and boost the taste of the different ingredients in here without actually making it salty. You don't taste the salt in here, so just ready to blend this up here. So I'll turn the screen down so that you can see it better here. This is going to be one that you want to stop a number of times and scrape down the sides. Make sure that you get everything blended together as much as possible. You don't really want to bite into one of these bars or cakes and you know, get a big chunk of seed in there. So you want to scrape this down and dump it here. So this is essentially going to be the same kind of thing as what we were going to do with the Turkish Delightful bars, where we're going to put it in a pan afterwards and then bake it for about 20 minutes and get a lot of the moisture out so that it'll be more firm. Just mix it one more time here. So it's getting nice and sticky already, firming up. Okay. So I'll show you the consistency here. You can see it. So you can still see some of the yellow pieces of the mango in there, but for the most part, everything's broken down pretty well. And let's see, come back here again. And so this one, you can use a muffin, a loaf pan like I did with the other one, or if you wanted to, you could use a more of a sheet pan, like a brownie pan kind of thing. So again, just gonna line it with some parchment paper, so it's easy to take out when I'm all done, and kind of keep things in there. Easier all around. So there we go. Put it into, and then it's the same thing where I'm going to bake bake it for about 20 minutes at 325 degrees. Just get the rest of this in here, and then I'll show you. Pressing it down into the pan here. So, you know, if you see some of these like date bars in the stores, some of the healthy, you know, snack bars in the store, they can get pretty expensive. And you know, something like this, it's pretty easy to find these ingredients for the most part, and make it yourself. You can really save a lot of money. So there it is. All right. So you bake this for 20 minutes at 325, and it's going to firm it up enough so that you can just take a knife and cut it into squares, or you know, into bar form if you want, and kind of like, you know, making your own snack bars. Like I said, I would take those and put them in a bag, take it on the road, you know, with the kids. Something like this, if you aren't going to eat it all, you can put it in the freezer, and it should keep, you know, pretty indefinitely. So it does last a long time that way, right? So that's the third recipe, Seed of Power Bars, inspired by Lord of the Rings.
I have another quick comment. This person says, I am so impressed. Been looking for a healthy health bar. This sounds delicious and completely natural. Kashi is considered healthy, ? But they are still heavily processed.
Oh.
I'm trying both bars. I'm still out on the blue milk though.
I know it looks weird, but you know, it's fun. It's a lot of fun. So we have one more, and you know, sometimes it's just easier, more convenient to just go ahead and, you know, buy the bar at the store already. But you know, as with anything else homemade, it's really nice to be able to control exactly what you put into it. You know, who knows? You look through, you know, this ingredient list, and it's like, you know, got 50 things in it, and you can't pronounce half of them. So it is nice to be able to make things like this at home, where you get to control, you know, what you put into it. You know, maybe some of the date bars and things like that you've had from the store, you know, maybe you like the taste, but it's really a little bit too sweet. So in this case, you know, you are putting in how many dates you want, and you get to control the sweetness of it. If you know, I have a couple of friends who, you know, I'll put some dates in a smoothie and you know, give them some of the smoothie, and they say, wow, that's really super sweet for them. For me, it's great. I kind of have a sweet tooth, so it's no problem for me. But you know, everybody has kind of their own level of how much sweetness they like in things. So the last recipe that I'm going to put over here is inspired by Harry Potter. So we were talking about earlier, you know, there's so many different foods in the Harry Potter books, so many different desserts and sweets and things like that. And, you know, so I was trying to find one that I could adapt to what I do with whole food, healthy ingredients, and, you know, the things, all the great things like, you know, chocolate frogs and all of that. You know, it would be hard for me to be able to do that with whole food healthy ingredients, but I did find one that is a lot of fun. I've made it already, and it tasted really good. So if you've ever wanted to try pumpkin juice from Harry Potter, then this is a healthy way to do that. So we're going to put in, it does call for a ½ gallon of apple cider or apple juice. So I suppose if you were going to blend up the apples, if you wanted to, you know, strain out the pulp from that so it's not so thick, then you could do that. In the case of, or for today for the class, then I wanted to make it convenient and easy, and, you know, a way for pretty much anybody without fancy equipment to be able to make it. So in this case, I am going to use the Vitamix, but you could just use a regular blender for this. It's fine. The recipe calls for about half a gallon of apple cider to make this recipe. So I'm going to add as much of it as I can here. I don't want to overfill the Vitamix, so I'll probably fill it up about halfway, and then like in a pitcher afterwards, I would add all the rest of the ingredients. Pour this into a pitcher and then just add the rest of the juice and just kind of stir it in. It just, I don't want to overflow the Vitamix here. So next thing we're going to put in is about half of a 15-ounce can of pumpkin puree, which is right here. Or if you wanted to use, cooked and frozen pumpkin, if you don't want to buy the canned stuff, then believe me, I totally get that. Again, just sort of for the convenience and ease of being able to do this today, I wanted to have at least one ingredient or one recipe that didn't have, tons of different ingredients in it, which all the other ones, I seem to write recipes that call for a lot of ingredients. But this one is pretty simple. So you got the pumpkin puree, and you can find this in pretty much any supermarket, like in the baking section, they often have it. So just trying to blend this in and give it a nice pumpkin flavor. Next ingredients we're going to put in are the dates. So the recipes that I found for this online all use tons and tons of sugar. So, again, trying to make this nice and sweet, but with using whole food ingredients. And there's about 8 dates here. That's about a cupful. Again, if you wanted to cut the sweetness down, definitely don't have to use 8. You can use 4. It just, I tried to put in about the equivalent of the amount of sugar because it's supposed to be really sweet. I'm going to put in a teaspoon of pumpkin pie spice mix. So again, you can make that. It's just a blend of nutmeg and cinnamon and different things. But just for the ease of making something like this quickly, then I always have a jar of pumpkin spice already ready to go. So there's about 1 teaspoon of pumpkin pie spice. Put in there. And then last one is going to be 1 teaspoon of vanilla. So there's vanilla extract here. I'm just going to run this in the blender for a minute just to get the dates all blended in. Again, really the thing is to blend it until the dates are all blended into the liquid of the rest of it here. Now that the dates mostly blended in, I'm going to add the rest of the apple cider in here, and just going to run it real slow just to kind of blend everything together so it doesn't splash everywhere. And then I'll pour that into a glass here. You have pumpkin juice from Harry Potter, and you can pour it into a pitcher with ice cubes and serve it nice and cold. But yeah, just like that. I mean, it's like it tastes like fall, like autumn in a glass, really. The pumpkin and the apple and the spices and everything. It's great like that. So there is Harry Potter's pumpkin juice there. And so one thing I wanted to add just as a tip for blending the dates. So if you don't have a high power blender like a Vitamix, then dates are pretty firm. So if you wanted to soak, you put the dates in a bowl with some hot water and just soak those for about 15 minutes. That really helps to soften the dates up. So if you're going to put that into, like a regular blender, then it's going to go a lot more smoothly that way, right? So, if you wanted to, if you didn't want to use all of the apple cider, you could just use half of it and half of the dates, and then it would be more like a smoothie. It would be nice and thick. But pumpkin juice in Harry Potter, you watch the movies, you know it's supposed to be thin like that. So I was originally trying to work on a recipe for butterbeer, which doesn't have alcohol in it, but it's a very rich butter flavor, and trying to find healthy ways to do that that's not using a bunch of different flavorings. Then I just decided to make the pumpkin juice instead. So there's the 4 recipes that I have for today, and like I said, 2 of the recipes come from the Healthy Vegan Cookbook. So you have those, but I believe you have all 4 recipes available to you on Zoom right now. Right?
Yeah. Yes. All the recipes were emailed to all the participants.
Oh, great. Okay.
Sure. And so thank you, Colin. And does anybody have any questions? That looks delicious.
It is very good.
It's thicker than I thought it would be, I guess. You think of juice, that looks more like a shake.
No, it's pretty thin. I mean, I guess maybe on the camera it looks thicker, but
yeah. Oh, maybe. Okay. People, yeah. Melody says thank you. Other people say thank you, very fun. Philomena says thanks. This was enormously fun. I'm going to try 3 of the 4 recipes. So I'm guessing she's not a fan of the blue.
Yeah.
Yeah. And actually, can I ask you to hold up those blue? Were they pea flowers?
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, let me get the bag for that.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
Oh,
So you can just order these online. They're shelf stable, so they last a really long time.
okay.
And like I said, they don't really have a flavor to them. So, whatever you put it in, you're not really going to taste it. But, if you want to have some fun with your family and,
Right.
make blue stuff or pink stuff that is natural,
Okay.
and you can use those flowers.
All right. Can you hold up the blue drink, or is it gone?
Oh no, that's right here. That's right here.
So
Yeah. So, like I said, you don't have to add the flowers. You can just, make it. That's how you make almond milk. So if you've never tried fresh almond milk, then I definitely recommend just try it once. You use the nut milk bag. It's like I said, it's a couple of bucks on Amazon. So it's pretty cheap and easy to use. And so trying fresh almond milk is really nothing like it. It's great. And, that same ratio applies to, if you were going to make cashew milk or, different kind of nut milks. I use oats. You can make oat milk that way, but you would want to change the ratio for oats so that you would do maybe like a fifth of a cup, or sorry, you would do like a ratio of 1 to 5 or 1 to 6. So 1 part oats and 6 cups of water, because oat milk is pretty thick if you make it, the way that I showed you, using the nut milk bag to strain out the pulp of that. But like I said, with smoothies and things that I make, I usually just leave it in because that's where most of the nutrition is.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And Philomena wants to know, what kind of plant is the pea flower from? And what are blue butterfly pea flowers? Never heard of them. and someone else says the blue pea flowers are wonderful, great for iced tea. So other people have heard of them. I never have.
Excellent. Yeah. I actually, I'm not sure, honestly. I think that they come from Asia. So it's certainly not a flower that I've seen around here before, but from the research that I was doing online, it was really the only natural source of blue coloring that I could find.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I just want to quickly remind everybody, if I could, there's some links in the chat that I did post earlier, but I reposted them. One is for our survey, if everyone could fill that out. We appreciate everyone's feedback. And we have a nutrition and healthy cooking resources blog on our website. There's a link for that, and to our classes, more nutrition cooking classes, and of course for Colin's website and Facebook page.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we have a couple of cooking classes coming up in the fall as well, some more for the Worcester Public Library. So got one in September and one in November, I believe.
Right, they're not on the site yet, but they should be, I believe, by next week. So everyone can check that out.
Okay.
There's a couple more messages. Oh, okay. Oh, it looks like one of our librarians did a little research here. She said, Jess says, butterfly pea flower tea, commonly known as blue tea, is a caffeine-free herbal tea or tisane beverage made from a concoction or decoction or infusion of the flower petals or even whole flower of the, it's some plant I can't even, Clitoria tornadi plant. Well, everyone can see this in the chat, so they can see what she wrote.
Okay.
And yeah, so let's see, they haven't had any, oh, okay. All right.
You know, years ago, trying to find this stuff, you know, the natural ethnic markets and things you'd have to go to find things like this. But today with the internet, it's so easy, you know, just a couple of clicks and it comes right to your door. You don't even have to go anywhere. So,
right.
Especially in the age of COVID, it all just comes right to your door.
Right, that's true. It's true. And Jess also said, she posted in the chat that it's said to be a mood enhancer. Stress busting effects and reduce symptoms of anxiety. Well, I think we're all going, thank you, Jess. I think we're all going to be buying this.
Well, if you want to create feelings of anxiety with everybody else in the house, then you know drinking blue milk is a good way to do that.
I think it reduces stress just because it looks fun.
It is. Yeah.
So we're getting lots of thank yous from Christina, Philomena, and Jess. Everyone and Melody. Everyone appreciates you being here today, and look forward to more classes.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, so are there any more questions? Okay, I think we're all set then.
All right, very good.
All right, thank you, Colin. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Yeah, good luck with with trying out these recipes in your own kitchen.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
All right, bye now.
Bye.